On this DVD, we're going to look at one of the most ubiquitous defensive firearms on the planet, the AR-15, M16, or M4 family of 223 or 5.56 firearms. These rifles can be accessorized in an almost limitless configuration of ways. What we're going to look at is what ways you should consider for home defense, for personal defense, which options are almost necessary, which options are almost useless, and what I think is the best choice when it comes to accessorizing your AR carbine. This is about as close as you're going to see to a standard AR type carbine. We don't have any fancy rails, we don't have any fancy optics, we really haven't done any modifications to this particular firearm whatsoever, except for back at the stock area. The reason we went ahead and already modified this to an adjustable stock and put on a plate that's going to allow us to mount a sling is because that's a little bit cumbersome to do on camera. When you get ready to accessorize your firearm, you're going to want to make sure that you have a stock that helps you integrate consistently and well with the rifle. Think about your shooting position. There are 4 points of contact. 1, 2, 3 up against your body, and 4. That means half of your contact, 2 of those 4 positions, are going to come from the stock. Now we're certainly going to look at modifications that can help us with the control grip, the pistol grip, and also at the forend, but the stock is going to be really important to think about. We've got some other types of stocks here. This is more your standard on this Smith & Wesson M&P. This is your standard CAR, your collapsible AR type stock. On this particular rifle here, which obviously has many more accessories already added to it, we see this particular stock has a much wider surface area. If you look at it from the top down, you can see that there's much better contact for the cheek to the stock. Again, we've got this option, which is more standard, and then this option, which gives you much more surface area. What's going to happen with that surface area is you're going to get a more consistent cheek weld with your stock. So again, if I go into that shooting position, 1 point of contact, 2 points of contact, 3 points of contact, 4. And that's much more comfortable and much more consistent because I have more area of the face touching the rifle itself. As I come up, I feel that on my cheek. I know that I've got a good consistent cheek weld, and that's going to help me make sure that my eye is consistently aligned behind whatever optics or sighting solution I've decided to have on my rifle. Now there are a lot of different types of adjustable stocks that you can get, and most of what you're going to see is going to be an adjustable stock. One thing you want to remember is, for the most part, the shorter the better. The shortest stock configuration that you can use reliably, that's going to be what you want for that defensive use, because that's going to allow you to keep that rifle in close, especially if you're inside of a house, if you have to move with your family, that defensive situation. Maybe you have family members whose arms aren't as long as yours or who aren't as physically strong in their upper body. They're going to want that rifle to be close into them and not have to be extended way out. Now, of course, you can go in the other direction. If we're not talking about a defensive solution, there are going to be other options. Of course, I'm going to focus today on the best defensive choices for accessorizing your AR, but it's important to take a look at some of the fixed stock options. If we look at this rifle, which is highly developed, made exclusively for competition, doesn't mean you couldn't use it for personal defense or home defense, but this is a more precise. Of course, we're going to put an optic on here. Maybe we could use the iron sights, and again, maybe there's a competition setting where we want to be in an iron sight only division. This more traditional fixed stock gives us a longer length of pull and is going to, especially when we're in some of the other shooting configurations and we're not worried about rapid multiple shot strings centered on our center line, but maybe in a prone position or kneeling more target position, this fixed stock is going to be really nice for us to use. Of course, there are other types of fixed stocks. Some of them, again, here again on a competition gun, with an optic designed for longer range shooting. We can be much more precise with this kind of optic. And again, we're going to see another type of stock here, which is going to be very comfortable with this neoprene, give us a lot of tactile feedback. We're going to know that our cheek is on this gun in the same place every time we go to mount it. Thinking about the stock is important. Some stocks will have different features. This stock, for example, has a compartment here to store batteries. Well, if you have a battery operated optic, if you have a situation where you're going to want to have spare parts, maybe springs, anything you want, you can keep inside of this case. And of course, that's going to be water resistant with that plug right there. And again, this is an adjustable stock. Many of the adjustable stocks that are available now will also lock in place so that you'll have to actually come in here and open this situation up so that you can move them. You don't have to worry as much about bumping them and then just sliding in very easily. There's going to be 1 or 2 things that have to be done. Once your stock is set, you're probably not going to move it around much, unless you were to wear much bulkier clothing or be in a professional situation where you were going to put on very thick body armor from one minute to the next. For example, a police officer may have a patrol rifle that he also uses on SWAT operations. He'll want his stock extended maybe 1 or 2 notches further when he's wearing his soft body armor in patrol work. Then when he puts on his heavy vest, he's going to want to go ahead and close that down and be in a situation where his cheek weld is now still consistent, but that extra inch or 2 of gear that he's wearing puts that stock in a little closer to make sure that the gun comes up in the same place on his cheek. So these are some of the reasons that you're going to want an adjustable stock. Some things to think about. And again, remember that surface area. That's going to be a big component. Now, you might look at these particular stocks and think, well, gee, I'm right-handed. I'm not going to have to worry about having this extra built-up area on either side. When we think about shooting around cover with a long gun, one of the different things we do is transition. We don't do that with a pistol because the firearm is extended. Of course, we can extend it this way, we can extend it over this way. But with a long gun, because it's attached to us, we want to have that wider surface area available to us on both sides. If we end up needing to transition so that we can shoot around cover, we're going to switch over to here. I'm going to want that same kind of a consistent cheek weld to be able to bring the gun up and get that alignment. Know exactly where my eye is behind that optic or behind that rear sight to get my alignment so I can take good combat accurate shots consistently. Again, using the rifle is going to be a little different than using the pistol. Using the rifle efficiently is going to be our goal, and one of the best modifications you can make is a good stock that fits your body that you train with to use consistently when you have to use your AR to defend yourself or your family.